all of you that are following our Persistence in Adversity page and podcast, and those of you that are part of our group. Today we have Lizzette Garza with us. Hi, Lizzy.
Hi everyone.
Thank you. This topic is going to be a really important topic, just like all the rest of the topics. They're interesting, they're different, and it's the topic of losing a loved one. You know, everybody has different perspectives and different stages of this. And Lizzie is going to be sharing her story on this topic. So thank you so much again, Lizzie.
You're welcome.
She is in science, so that's amazing. I know she's an educator in science. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Lizzie.
Okay, so born and raised in Mission. I've always loved science. I wanted to actually be a veterinarian, and so I came to San Antonio to go to school, worked for a veterinarian, and I was like, no, this isn't for me. I don't know, I never got used to, ironically, right? The euthanasia component and death. And I was like, I can't. And so, especially because they're just like little innocent beings. And I just couldn't. And so I went and I worked at a lab, and I was testing blood for like HIV, HCV, all kinds of pathogens. And I felt like I was losing my social skills, and I was forgetting everything I had learned because it was just me and a machine, and it was beeping and telling me what to do. And I was like, this isn't it either. Like, I need to pay my student loans. I need to do something else. And so a friend was like, why don't you do the emergency certification to teach? And I was like, okay, so I did it. And then eventually it just became a passion for me. Although every once in a while I'll like gripe about the kids and be like, what am I doing? But no, it's definitely my thing. It is. And so.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being an educator. I know for me, myself, I was like, when they asked me to teach, I was like, I don't think so, but I love it. Now that I'm doing it, I was like, oh my God, like if I would have wanted to teach, I should have gone done teaching, right? Yeah. But it would have been so much easier, right? A lot less headaches than pursuing a science.
Yeah.
Right. But I was like, okay, but I love my job also, but thank you. I know as educators, especially right now during COVID, we're having to do way more, but thank you so much.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Yes, no, things are crazy right now on this side of the scene with the kids, but it's all good.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, again, we're going to dive into the topic of losing a loved one. And how long has it been that you lost your loved one?
So I lost my brother 5 years ago this past November. And it was unexpected. And so it kind of just threw us all for a loop, I grew up around a funeral home and have always been around people who are grieving, with the loss of loved ones, but never really had it impact me as close as it did with losing my brother. My grandfather passed away when I was 9. And so at that age, I really didn't have a good understanding of what death really entailed, and of course your parents to like soften the blow. It's like, he went to heaven and you're going to see him again. And you're kind of like, okay, but you're young and you really can't comprehend, like, at least I couldn't comprehend exactly what that meant at that age. And then I lost my nana, which is my grandma's best friend, in 2007. And still, even though like we were close, every time I would go home, like it was just my grandma, my nana, and I, and we'd go everywhere for the weekend. It was still, I think, because of our relationship, it was just a different experience. But then when I lost my brother, it was just, it was hard. It was hard because it felt like almost for the first time, like I'm really having to deal with the absence of someone that I love. And so that was really a really tough one for me. But yeah.
Wow. And again, I guess a sibling, and I know he was your only brother.
Yes, well, I have half brothers now. So growing up, when in elementary school, yes, he was my only brother, and we've always been really tight. We were always very close, and I'm blessed for like the last 5 years of his life, he lived with me. So we lived together in San Antonio, and so that was to be able to live with him. That was a blessing in itself. Of course, in hindsight, like I realized that it's just different. It's just different for everyone. But
wow. Well, thank you. Yeah, and like you said, I guess it was a blessing because you got to spend the last 5 years before he passed.
with
And then maybe back then, a lot of times, especially because we have siblings and we fight all the time, right? And you don't see it as a blessing, I guess sometimes, but it was.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Does it still hurt the same, Lizzie?
Um, yes, yes and no. Um, I no, I feel like I've gotten used to living without him
The
in this type of
absence.
life, you know? So does it hurt the same? It hurts different. You know, you know, in preparing for my questions, like I had a, you know, I had minored in psych and took like a death, dying, and grief class. And then I feel like you're never really fully prepared for what it feels like. So even though, yes, I had studied it and yes, I had experienced it in different, you know, capacities, it was never really the same. Um, you know, they say, you know, you go through stages of grief, and some people say it's 5, and some say it's 7, and some say it's 12. And honestly, like in my experience, it's just different, and there's no exact order to the stages. And you revert and you progress and you revert, and then you feel this way and another way. And so I just think that it's the most important thing is just allow yourself to feel healthily, you know, because some of us can like fall to addiction or drinking, or, you know, we pick up these bad habits for whatever to cope. And it's not that it's wrong. It's just you just need to go through it in a healthy way. Get help if needed. I did. In fact, I didn't think I needed help. I had a friend. I have a friend, Tina, and um, she's a close friend of mine, and I guess she could tell that I was like kind of falling into the depression state. And she's just like, she had just lost a cousin, and she's like, you know, why don't we go take you know, her church was offering this grief course. And so she's like, you know, let's just line up, let's go, that way we can spend time together once a week. And so I went, and I think the most I took away from it was that everything I was feeling and everything that I was thinking was normal. And so it almost felt like just to be a part of something, just a sense of community, that even though every story in there was different, my experience and my brother's passing was different than everybody else's. Um, there was still some sort of unity in what we were going through, and I think that that was very helpful. And so, um, like I said, you know, even though, you know, we had homeworks to do every week, I think the what I took away from it was that everything I was feeling was normal. And they stress, you know, allow yourself to feel, you know. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think, like you mentioned, everybody's different. Everybody has different ways of grieving. And I think there's no certain time. I had read something that mentioned something in the sense of uh, everybody's going to have different
Right.
timelines of some people might grieve for a week, years even, and it's different. And like you said, you mentioned something that really, I guess, just hit me because I recently lost my mom, that you said that it hurts different. It hurts different. It still hurts the same, but it's different.
Mhm.
It's not that you don't miss the person any less, but it's different. Wow.
Yeah.
But thank you.
No, it's you know, you do go through, like, at least for me in my experience, like the denial of it. I've definitely been through all the stages, but like the denial I feel was just like, is this a dream? Like, is this like really happening? And I think it was probably just my way of allowing me to survive, because all of those emotions were just very wrong. Um, you know, going through this, going to the service, going to the funeral, going like it was just a fog of feelings. And then of course you're dealing with family, like when you know, when you go to the funeral, and it's like you're having to also like be sensitive to other people's feelings, and then, you know, still have to make like these, you know, really important decisions in preparation for the funeral. And so I was definitely in denial for a while, and even though I had, you know, attended the funeral, I was still somewhat in denial. And I feel like that was just that feeling for me was just a way for me to be able to just get by and survive. Um,
Wow.
just to make it to work, the week after. It's just tough.
Wow. I think I don't know. Again, my mom just recently passed. Really, really, it's been what, 2 weeks, and
Mhm.
um, I I still don't think it happened, you know. So I guess I'm in the denial stage. Really, I haven't really read much on grieving and stuff, but I know she's in a better place, and we know that our people are in a better place. But I don't know. It's just for those people that are going to be listening. um, I guess everybody's different. Everybody's different. And I think it's going to matter also who you lost. You know, did you lose a husband or a wife? You know, did you lose a son or daughter, a sibling? You know, your mom, your dad. You know, and I think if it was also like like I don't know, for your parents, did you lose the baby? Did you lose an adult? And it's just different. I mean, you mentioned your friend had lost a cousin. I think it's just
Yeah.
wow, but it's just, well, thank you for sharing though that. How do you deal with it now? Now that you said it's been 5 years, you said you went through the denial stage. I mean, but how can you, even now, okay, how do you deal with that? I'm sure there's stuff, because I know every time I look, it's like reminds me of my mom, you know, every little thing.
Yes.
So how do you deal with the loss?
So I got to the point where I just needed to celebrate and change my perspective. So I went through the angry stage of like, what could I have done differently? What should I have done differently? Um, and then just like the guilt of like, I should have spent more time with them, I should have done this more, which people usually do, I guess, just depending upon where their relationship stands with the person that they lose. They wind up feeling these emotions of like, like you said earlier, we did everything we could in terms of treatment. And so people who like, let's say for example, who are undergoing cancer and they lose a loved one to cancer, then it's like the angry stage of like, well, what if we had tried this other treatment or whatever. And so definitely went through the anger, um, definitely went through like the bargaining of like, like, please God, like just just make him okay, and so I've definitely been through all of those stages. And I think that eventually I just got to the point where I just changed my perspective, and I was like, you know what? I was blessed to have lived with him for 5 years before he passed. I was blessed, like if you think of the randomness or maybe even the fate that he was my brother, it's like he was my brother. And so celebrating that. On the daily, I try to do things that he liked, or regularly try to, like, if I go to mission, we go to eat, like, taquitos at El Rodeo right there on, like, what is it, like 29th and Ware or something, like just something that he likes, that I don't know, like something that reminds me of him, are things that I'll do.
Is that again, because again, I just lost my mom, but is that something that to say, you know what, I'm remembering him by doing that? Or it's like, you know what, I used to live here, let me go and kind of, like you said, to make it feel happy, or I don't,
It's just a good,
keep him
for
like
me.
his memory
Yeah,
alive.
exactly. Like for me, it's just a way to like still connect with him. Like he loved to hike, I'll go hike. I love to hike now. Um, just
Yeah, I get it.
just a way to just still keep him present with me. He's not, as like, no longer in the same capacity, like in the physical world, is he with me, but I still carry him in my heart, and I still feel like his presence is still like over me, around me, like his love, I can still feel it. And so
Right.
just to go and do something and share something, uh, I don't know, I just believe
I
he's,
like the idea. Yeah, I
yeah,
like the idea.
yeah. So if there's something that, your mom liked, if it was like a particular flower or something, just keep something present just to remind you of the person, like just to maintain
Yeah.
in your present life.
That connection or the
Yeah, absolutely.
memory alive. Well, thank you. Wow. What has helped you cope? I guess you talked a little bit about that, you know, a little bit of the things that you do you know, to keep a memory alive, that to make you feel like that he's really, really there with you. But what other things have helped you cope? I guess maybe not so much now, but you know, when it happened during this 5 years.
When it happened, it was tough. It was tough because the first everything I experienced without his presence was very hard. So like his first birthday, I'm not getting emotional. First
It's okay.
Thanksgiving, first
Yeah.
Christmas, the first everything was definitely the hardest because it was just the reminder that there was a void there. And so to cope, it was just like me and my thoughts, and I would just talk to him and be like, I know you would be here. Like, he was always my go-to person. And so when I had a bad, a day at work with the kids, and their grades aren't where they're supposed to be, and what do I do, like, he would always give me like the little pep talk or the boost of confidence. And so I would tell myself things like, what would he say? What would he tell me? Or what has he told me? And so that was just things that, like, I would still keep them present in my life. Of course, like I said, in a different capacity, but still, like, yeah, I guess that's the way I would say it. Like,
Yeah.
keep them
Uh-huh.
present in my life, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is what he would say, but it's tough. The first everything was tough.
I bet. I bet. I know, because I mean, Mother's Day is gonna come soon, and her birthday was in May, so I just can't imagine. I mean, because even though like all my sisters and sister-in-laws were all mothers, you know, and it was like we just really the focus was on her. You know,
Right.
we would celebrate Mother's Day, but the focus was her. You know,
Right.
it was not even us at all. And
Mhm.
then sometimes our sisters and I would just, we would kind of give little presents, little things to each other or my sister-in-laws, but it was really, we weren't the ones being celebrated. And now it's going to be really different because
Yeah.
it's going to be the first time without her.
We still, it was definitely, the first year was also like a tradition setter. It was like, we're not going to stop celebrating his birthday, so his birthday was the 5th of July, but he loved the 4th of July. So we would go see fireworks on the 4th and then celebrate, even though, he had already passed, my siblings and I, and his daughter, Tori, and his son, like, virtually, we would still, get a cake and sing happy birthday, and then just in our own self, like, to blow out the candles, we would say a little prayer and then just blow them out. um
Wow.
because I
And
think,
that's still, you're still doing that right now.
yes, absolutely, yes. With
Wow.
COVID, we had to do it virtually this year, but yes, it was definitely, it helps me, I guess I should just say it
I
helps.
think so.
Yeah,
I would see why.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
just changing the perspective of instead of dwelling on the why he's gone, the
Yeah.
fact that we ever had him to begin with is the blessing.
I think, like you mentioned, still doing it, because if not, you'll remember like at home, like, oh, it was his birthday, or it's his birthday, it's her birthday, it would have been his. You know what? You still get to have that companionship with the family.
Yeah,
And really, you still have, even though he's gone, we still have like the rest of the family to celebrate, to be
right.
there and to help each other and comfort each other. So I think that's a great idea. So
Yeah,
again, my mom's birthday will be in May also,
yeah,
so we'll probably still do something to remember her.
yeah,
If
absolutely.
not, so we will be stuck at home trying to, cry.
Yeah,
But wow,
but definitely allow yourself to feel like it's a very raw emotion, and I feel like the only way to, like, truly not get past it, because you don't ever, I I don't know. You don't really ever get past it. It just changes. And I think that in order for you to progress, um, you need to allow yourself to feel, and also just, like I said, like, that positive perspective of celebrating the fact that she was your mom, and the fact that, she lived a long, good life, and that she had you guys, and that you had her and your dad. Just keeping that very present, and celebrating that, it helps you get through a lot of it.
thank you, thank you. And I know, again, for those of people that are going to be watching the video, it's, I guess it's going to be different. It's going to be different for everybody. I guess your age also, and the age of the person that passes, it plays a big role. Uh, yeah, he said everybody's going to be different.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be
If
different,
if
and it's
the person was ill and you kind of sort of, because you don't prepare, but it's just the dynamic of how it happens. If it was an accident and it was all of a sudden, or, you know,
yeah.
that mom is terminal, dad is terminal. And so you kind of sort of begin the grieving process. It's just different for everyone. That's why I was so nervous to come on and speak about it, because I'm like, all I know is my experience, you know.
No, and that's, thank you. And that's what we want to share. We want to share experience and your honesty of saying, you know what, this is how I'm dealing with it. This is how it happened with me. And again, I'm brand new to this. I know before we started recording, I had said that this was going to be my first topic that I have nothing to say, and now this happened. And again, this was supposed to be spoken before, but it's different. It's different, and it's sad, but it actually, I guess, reflect on I guess the people that you still have, the people that are still around you. So, and that leads to the next question. What would you tell those that are going to be listening to you and listening to this interview and who have not dealt with it?
Um, so death unfortunately is inevitable. And I think that losing, like I said, losing my grandfather was different than losing my nana, and losing my brother, like really his passing, like really put things into perspective. And just seeing different people in my family go through their emotions of his passing, and others as well. You never know when your time is, and especially now in the situation that we're in, you know just put pride aside and mend those relationships, those friendships. You don't want to live, a lot of people get stuck in the guilt of things, and you don't want to stay there. So just make things right. And you know moving forward, like I said, just allow yourself to feel, give yourself, we're not made of rock. you know Allow yourself to feel, to progress.
Thank you. And
um,
like there's a saying in Spanish que dice el hubiera no existe, right? El hubiera no existe, meaning like, what's done is done. Moving forward, like you said, leave the pride aside. And then I think we need to, that's something very, very, I guess, key of really everything, not just this topic, but when you leave pride aside, it's like I was interviewing somebody, I was interviewing somebody about just goals on their own, right?
mhm,
And that person was saying, you know what, understand that it's okay that you need people. You understand that you do need people. You do need people to help you,
mhm,
when you're doing goals, uh, when you're trying to forgive, which is a big
mhm,
topic also. It's like, you know what, you can still do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things by letting go of the pride,
right.
knowing that you need each other, knowing that there's a lot of things that you can do, and just be happy. I think that was one of the things that a lady that I brought when we're talking about mental health,
Mhm,
just all that aside, it helps. And then you're the one that leave that peace. A lot of times, having that inside against the person or whatever, again, when you say leave pride aside, I think it's for any
absolutely.
circumstance, not just but I know in the sense that you're referring to is more like, you know what, we need each other, we're here. If you are not good with whoever it is, just get right with that person,
Yeah.
because you never know when their time or our time was going to come, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that leaving, if the person is gone, you're left with that, like woulda, shoulda, coulda, and that just makes it harder. I don't know. Um, yeah.
Makes things worst, I
Mhm.
guess, to
Yeah.
cope with.
Yeah.
Well, I guess cherish, like you mentioned, cherish the moments that you guys had together, cherish the things that that person used to do. And like you said, you mentioned hiking. Did you like hiking before?
I did, but I feel like after the fact, I got more out of it. It wasn't just like the physical distraction of being out in nature, but it just meant more to me. Or maybe it's just because it's more just, I guess, my
Meaningful.
time with God. Yes, like my time with God, my time to talk to him, like my time to like quiet the noise, I'm all
Mhm,
my dogs, to quiet the
mhm.
noise down and just be with myself and my thoughts and just heal. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. Now, what advice can you share with those that are going through just this? Again, I have put these questions together before I myself had gone through
Yeah.
this, and it's I don't know, maybe you would say coincidence and stuff, but it was like I remember, sending these words, these questions to you before it happened. But so, what would you tell me? What would you tell me and those people that are listening that are barely going through this stuff? I mean, you mentioned a lot of the things, but what else can you add?
Um, I don't know what more to say, but just eventually it will be okay. And when you hear someone say like, time will heal all wounds, yes and no. It will always hurt. It will never go away. It's never going to be something that you live in the past. Like it's not like you're just going to carry your loved one with you in a different way. You're going to have to learn how to deal without them in the physical life, and then just learn how to continue with them in the future in your present life. um, like I said, what helped me was just to celebrate him. And so I think that you should celebrate your mom and the little things that she liked or that remind you of her, so that you can keep her present, and you can keep going. um like when they say like you accept, like the last stage, right? Acceptance. It's not so much that you've moved on, that's not what it means. At least to me, acceptance does not mean that you've moved on, you're past it. What it means is that you've just accepted your new reality, and now you have to move on in this new world without that person, and be able to live every day without that person. And so you just manifest them in whichever way that you can to be able to move on. Which is, like I said, like I bring back his memory in the little things that I do just to keep him present, whether it's like watch a baseball game for the Texas Rangers, or go eat somewhere he likes, or just do a little something that reminds me of him, or talk to him, or whatever. It's in my experience, I went, like I said, in every direction with my emotions. I was angry, I was mad, I was sad, I was depressed. And when I went to that class, everything I was feeling was normal, and everyone else was feeling it just in a different way. Um, all I can say is allow yourself to feel, and feel blessed that you had her. Um, it's so important. And I remember I was stuck in the God why, and I was angry. Um, but you'll work through that. You'll work through that, and you'll get to a better place. Um, but like I said, you progress and you regress and you progress again, and so that's okay too. I think that um, once you start, I guess once you become more aware, because the denial was very real to me. Once you begin to go back into your routine and to be able to function. um, I think that's where the healing begins. When once you start to think like, oh, like, am I starting to heal? That's where it begins. And any stage can go after that. But like I said, you progress, you regress, and you just keep moving forward. Um, celebrate mom in any way that you can. That's all I could say.
Thank you. I guess I'm gonna ask you, I feel like there's a void there. Do you do you ever feel that void filled
No,
at all?
I, I haven't felt it filled yet, and it's been 5 years. um, I feel like I try to fill it. I try to fill it with keeping his memory alive, but the void, no, because I don't know. It's
I mean,
almost,
That's what I can say that I feel right now. Like there's a piece of not just me, I guess, a piece of the family, or a piece of, you know how you, oh, my kids are still saying, hey, can we go to grandma's? Can we go to grandma's? Like we need to start saying grandpa's. We need to start not saying grandma's anymore, you know? And it's just, but I feel like it's not real yet. I don't think it happened yet. And I don't want to accept it yet. And then a part of me saying, no, like it's okay, you know, she's in a better place. But I don't know. I think it's everything, all emotions put together, but it feels like there's a void. So I'm just wondering if it ever is gonna get filled.
Um, I think you learn to live with the void. I think that there's nothing that can fill it. It's kind of like, you know, like if a pup, and I'm not comparing it to a puppy, but you know, if a puppy was to die, then you get a new puppy, right? But the new puppy is like completely different. Its character is different than the puppy that you have or that you're trying to replace it with. And so it's just filled with something different, but the void is still there because it's not the same void that you're exactly filling, you know. I don't feel like I've ever felt it. It's just different. Like it's almost incomplete, but it's just morphed. It's just changed into a different feeling. So the void is there. You just learn how to cope with it. You know, it's different. No one will replace your mom. You know, you just learn how to carry her in a different way. And I want to commend you for being so brave and having this conversation, and it being so
Thank
recent.
you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's just you don't know. Again, when I mentioned, like, you know what, I was supposed to have this topic without not having any experience on this, but it's different, you know. It's maybe because I'm still in the denial stage, and but like you just said, nobody was going to replace that person ever. That person always had that special, you know, place in your life. And I guess no matter what you do, what you try to do, it's different.
yeah, yeah, it is. And it just is.
And it's a difficult topic. It's a difficult
Yeah,
topic
it is.
to have. And you know, it's just, and it's different, I guess, for everybody. But I know that for me, I know God has given me the comfort, and I guess it's my refuge, and that's what's gotten me through at least this couple of weeks. I don't know how it would be. I know people would tell me, how are you? I'll be like, I'm okay. I don't know how it will be in the funeral or burial, you know. But it's especially, I guess, being strong for everybody else is one thing that, you know, like I don't want my dad to see me sad, you know. Or I was just with him earlier, and of course I try not to ask how are you, because, well, I'm
Oh,
sure he's sad, right? It's too reason to ask how are you, but like, hi dad, you know, try to change conversation. But I go and see stuff that remind me of her, and I just want to avoid, I guess, bring her up at least yet, just for them, again, being strong for the other persons.
yeah. But allow yourself, like, in my experience, my parents were not well, obviously, right? Like, and so I wouldn't allow myself to feel in their presence. And
Mm.
so it wasn't until I was by myself um,
Yeah.
that I would feel,
Hmm.
because you don't want anyone to begin to worry about you or.
Oh, do you want to be the strong one, you
Yeah,
know, and that it's okay. But I think even now, I know that it's, I think for different people, again, depending on who it was that you lost. But you mentioned the stages, you mentioned all those things to keep that person alive. And I think that's just the best thing so far. Again, I haven't talked to many people that lost loved ones, but that's a conversation that I want to keep having with other people, and that other people are going to be sharing, because I think it helps. It helps, especially during this time. There's a lot of people losing loved ones, especially the fact that they're dying by themselves in the hospital. You know, you're not there the last few days of their lives. I guess that changes a bit, you know. And then I don't know, they don't have that peace of mind that you were with that person the last moments of their life.
Yeah, and I could not even like fathom what that must be like. I can't like if one feels like this, I can't imagine what that was like for you guys. Like,
Wow. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. And again, thank you. And I know you mentioned earlier about your career change and all that. So I'm definitely going to reach out to you, and on mentoring some of my science young girls that I mentor, and on career change, because you went from one thing to another to another. So,
yeah.
and then being a female in science, I think that's amazing too. So. Thank you so much for sharing your
You're welcome.
experience of losing your loved one.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.